When you think of weddings in India, you think of grandeur, emotion and storytelling. And right at the heart of it all is Weeding Sutra. How did Weeding Sutra take place?
This is my business partner's idea. She was online much before India went online. She would be on iVillage and Not and other portals. India does not have anything like this. Forget about a wedding portal. There wasn't any wedding information published in media. Today times, as you know, are very different.
Yes.
Everybody has a media special, television, every print publication. Ever since I was a child, I would be very curious to understand how money comes and goes in business. A lot of people think wedding planning is easy money. There are some people who've made a brand as a wedding planner or artists, top photographers, makeup artists. There's a lot of money. But for many others, it's not easy getting money from families.
What is the most important ingredient in the wedding for the guests? Khana important hai, khana acha hona chahiye. But according to you, what is it?
A happy bride and groom. Because
For the bride and groom it is.
Because the bride is having a good time, others will have a good time.
I don't think half the weddings, they're tired by the end of it.
They don't remember what they ate.
Exactly. But for the guests, what is most important?
Khana.
When you think of weddings in India, you think of grandeur, emotion and storytelling. And right at the heart of it all is Weeding Sutra. Founded by Parthip Thyagarajan, the platform has shaped how India celebrates love, from trends and destinations to the business of wedding itself. With a background in media and marketing, Parthip turned what was once an unorganized industry into a thriving ecosystem that bridges creativity, commerce and culture. Today, he's not just documenting weddings, he's redefining the business behind them. In this episode, we dive into Parthip's journey on how Weeding Sutra began, the evolution of India's wedding industry, and what it truly is to build a brand that celebrates one of life's most meaningful moments. So Parthip, thank you so much for choosing to be a part of Voices for Local.
Thank you, Anisha.
So tell me, you're a media person, media and marketing, and we have some common times connection in the past. How did Weeding Sutra take place?
Manisha, as I've told you, I've come from a background of armed forces. My
Yes,
dad was in the army, Fauji background. And ever since I was a child, I would be very curious to understand how businesses work.
Right.
So while my friends were looking at the civil services, doctor, engineer, armed forces of course, I was very curious to understand how money comes and goes in business. And that's something even my MBA did not teach me. And I worked with the Times Group for 4 years. And this is my business partner's idea. She was online much before India went online. She would be on iVillage and Not and other portals. And when she was getting married, she spent time on the Not. And that's when she realized India does not have anything like this. Forget about a wedding portal. There wasn't any wedding information published in media. Today times, as you know, are very different.
Yes.
Everybody has a media special, television, every print publication. And when I looked at it from a media lens only. There was no profession called wedding planner which we even knew about back then.
That's right.
In 2000, when my business partner Madhulika shared the idea with me, and I looked at it from a media lens, saying that in a publication like Times, there are so many brands who are targeting weddings, whether it's De Beers Diamonds, Kodak, SOTC for the honeymoons. These are brands which occupied pride of place in the glossy supplements. And I knew one thing, that if we're going to come up with a media platform, we were very clear. I mean, back then, I don't know how we thought of it.
How old were you then?
I'm 73 born, and we started in 2000, so I was 27 years old.
At 27, you had that clarity of business. That's impressive.
I don't think I had.
I mean, the way
learned
you're
about business.
describing it, it's like, you know, you were precise, you were clear, कि मेरे को यही करना है, ये नहीं करना है. Okay, so then it all started.
And it was much later, Manisha, that a cousin of mine shared with me just about 5 years back. He did not really think much of Weeding Sutra. You know, he must have thought, okay, what? He was an FMCG marketer. But he told me, Parthip, even as a kid, do you remember, you would actually document weddings by, when you would see a wedding happening in front of your house, you would draw sketches of the scene. And that's when I remembered that sometimes what you think of as a child actually becomes your business. And I never imagined. Who would have thought after doing your BCom from Sydenham, MBA from one of the best business schools, you know how it is, right? We think about what looks good in our resume. We think
that time actually weddings or wedding, opening a wedding platform is so unheard of. It's a very unconventional sort of business, right?
True.
So even if you were to explain to somebody, they would say, "Kya kar raha hai?"
Exactly, Monisha, I remember after I launched Wedding Sutra, 6 months later or a year later when I would meet people and they'll say, "What are you doing now?" I said, "Didn't I tell you Mr. XYZ or Miss XYZ that I launched Wedding Sutra?" I said, "Yes, I know that. You told me that, but what are you doing now?"
What are you doing now? Huh?
So that is how, and it's so heartening that today the way everybody supports and celebrates entrepreneurship. This was not the case in India 25 or 30 years before.
So tell me some of the challenges that you faced then. So
Sure.
okay, one of the challenges is people didn't understand what you were doing, but I'm saying you were in an industry you chose to be where it was very unorganized. There was no concept of wedding planners. Just local photographer tha wo aa jata tha. Tent wala aa jata tha. There was very unorganized and ghar ki baat thi.
Absolutely.
Right?
Monisha, but what is very interesting is today weddings are much in the news, but when you look at the super affluent, they spent as much 25 or 30 years before as they spend now, except that it was not known. There was nothing like Instagram.
Yeah.
When I meet my friends from the event business who were working with the top event management companies and they'd also dabble in weddings, they told me, back then in an Udaipur, 10 crores, 20 crores was not uncommon, except that we didn't know about it.
There were no paparazzis, no portals to talk about it.
It was a very private affair and it continues to be a very private affair in many families. So what is very interesting, Monisha, is weddings have always been a subject of drawing room conversations in homes.
Yes.
We always talk about big or small. The last wedding we went to, kya khana khaya?
We discussed it, usne kya pehna tha, kya khana tha, kya decor tha, sab discussion hota hai. Haan.
But nothing was documented and not much was known about this industry, and the people who were working behind the scenes, they chose not to talk about it. They didn't even think it was important to develop a relationship with a media platform. 30, 40 years back, somebody was in the construction industry, they would talk to those who were writing about this business. They did not think it was relevant or important to even talk to somebody who was interested in documenting it. I was very lucky that I had some friends. Both of them were Marwadis and they had very big weddings. Of course, nothing was shared. But when I told them about Wedding Sutra, about a week or two after I met them, they were so helpful. They literally went back to their diaries and said, "This is my chachi who does this is my mami who does this." And I realized, and it's the case even today, back then in South Bombay, even then in every building there was one lady who was doing a wedding related business. Either she was designing clothes, packaging, jewelry. It's not as fancy as it is today. It's not as personalized as it's today.
Right.
But, and you know why it worked for them? I'm telling you, especially from ladies, because wedding dates never clashed with exam dates. So this was one thing they could do during the non-exam times, especially if they had school-going kids. And those who went to these homes, they actually thought they were getting something very special. Because even today you go to a mall, the whole world can see what's in the mall. But when you're actually shopping for stoles or Indian wear or jewelry,
even the packaging boxes, the packaging of boxes,
you know that what you're getting is something really exclusive because it could be curated in a workshop anyway, but the final packaging is in a home. And that is what the exclusivity which families wanted and they want today also.
So tell me something, what were the challenges that you faced at that time?
Sure.
Chalo, these were people at home. You had to really get people to talk about weddings. People never came out and spoke about it. So these two friends came to help you.
Yeah, that was one thing.
But
I must tell you that whoever I approached for their photos, the one thing they said is, "Hum log internet mein nahi dalenge photos."
Okay.
Or my husband doesn't want it to be, or my wife doesn't want the photos to be on internet. So it was not even about a portal. They didn't want it to be on internet.
Right.
But the other way is that there was very little information on the internet. You were the only one who was documenting this on the internet.
Yes.
And therefore, you were very valuable to the audience even back then. Even the top
Of
designers
course.
didn't have a website.
Yes.
When they came out with a collection at what was back then the Lakme India Fashion Week, it was up on your portal, the bridal collection, especially for NRIs. So the NRIs loved it. For the first time, sitting in a New York or London, they could see what is happening in the wedding scene in India. But at the end of it, internet was going through a little down phase in 2000.
That's right.
There was a lot of optimism about the digital media between Jan and the months when we launched.
Okay.
You'd remember when you'd come to Bombay, you step out of the airport and the hoardings would only be of .coms.
Yes.
And then suddenly
the crash happened.
Yeah. So it was not just the wedding industry where people did not know what I was doing.
It was the .com.
It was the
crash.
.com.
Yeah.
And the one word even my parents today tell me is, even they gave up. They're like wondering what their son is up to. They were very, very supportive in the first 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. But now when they ask me, how did you have that resilience? Because when you went to folks, and there's a story which I was just telling somebody, 1 hour back, they just wondered how long you would do this, because it was not just Wedding Sutra. There were many other entrepreneurs who had started a wedding or wedding related portal. None of them, of course, continued beyond 6 months or 1 year, and others also thought. So that was one thing. And the second is, of course, it was a very lonely journey, because you did not have fellow entrepreneurs, or there was no industry association. Today, every industry has this community. You could join a BNI if you're running a business from anywhere, and you have a chapter. You meet 20 or 30 fellow entrepreneurs in a 10-kilometer.
Correct.
That time there was no such communities. There was no networking groups of entrepreneurs. You either had those who inherited a family business, or who were doing a corporate job.
Right.
Today is very different. So the two things I would tell you, it is a very, very lonely journey, no community, and an industry which was not documented. And therefore, the effort it took to get information is 100 times more than what it is today.
So from then to let's come now. Now the world has changed. Everything is on the internet. Everything
is for the gram.
Everything is for the gram. How do you manage to keep exclusivity going today? तब challenge था कि कुछ था नहीं, अब सबके पास है.
Today everybody is doing wedding related content.
Exactly.
In this scenario, it's about what is it that we are doing which is really adding value to the community we have of wedding vendors and influencers and brides and grooms to be. Right now, because there's a lot of information on weddings, and one thing is there, one of the insights me and my business partner had is that whenever anyone's planning a wedding, even if the information is not there, there are enough family members and friends you can go to. So if anyone's having a simple wedding, and that continues to be in India, they would get married in a community hall or a hotel, even if it's not a 5-star hotel, in a 20-kilometer radius or a 5-kilometer radius where it's not difficult. You go to the venue, you get the information. Wedding Sutra's content and is right now very focused on luxury and destination weddings, because if someone's getting married in Bombay, it's not easy for her to find out what she can do in a Bali
or a
Bahrain.
Yeah.
And that is where Wedding Sutra steps in, because we have featured real weddings where the other couples who've got married there, they are talking about their vendors. Again, we have not thought in terms of vendor listing. Everything was about listing.
Right.
When you're really talking about, for example, if you're a marketer and a designer, just for me to list you as one of the accessories designer among 100, Viziv is doing an Instagram post about sharing your story. That is what brides would like to see, rather than just your name and your contact number.
At least you're showing something of their work, something more about them, not just a name.
Absolutely. And while everybody is looking at the tech way, I have my thing that it cannot be weddings and tech. It cannot be a complete marriage. It is not like booking a cab or a hotel room or an airline. It has to be a media platform first and a tech platform next. And I know there are so many entrepreneurs looking at something very specialized, whether it's virtual tours of venues or venue booking, I don't look at it as simply. It's about how do you present the content and how do you inspire not just brides and grooms but the community so that work is more interesting and fun.
You know, in India, and that's uniquely to the, I think, Asian subcontinent, weddings are about families.
True.
Weddings are deeply emotional. It's a big step in anyone's life and the whole family gets involved. So actually what you're doing with Wedding Sutra, documenting all this, you're playing more on the emotional side of it and not making it very, not just tech, but not very dry by just doing virtual tours.
It's not like one, two, three, this is how you book a photographer. It doesn't work that way. And in reality, it doesn't work that way.
It really doesn't work that way, right? So, you know, what you're actually bringing to the table is more an emotional journey because you're emotionally invested. Wedding is an emotion. It's not a business deal that, you know, you click kiya, aur ye yahan se deal ho gaya, ye wo airplane book kar diya.
Monisha, also what happens is everybody loves to support their family and community when they are getting married. Very interesting. So, someone in your building is getting married and you're doing something relating to weddings, they will come to you. It's not about that I found somebody somewhere else who is doing this. It's about there's a lot of giving to the community and the joy of working with your friends.
So, you know, earlier, and I remember as a child when I was growing up, a wedding in the lane meant the whole lane would get involved, right? So neighbors would come and say ki hum kya banwa dein, do mithaiyan.
Inclusivity, much before this word, we didn't know that word inclusivity.
Correct. So hum ghar pe do mithaiyan banwa dein, ya we have an extra room, so if you have guests coming, they can stay at our place. The whole lane would kind of get involved, right? So the lights would be put up in every house.
True, absolutely.
And that was the neighborhood community feeling, okay? Today, of course, families get involved, families across the world is connected, Zoom call dance practices happen and all of that. But tell me, what has changed in India in the wedding scenario? Because post-COVID, there came a lull where weddings became a little smaller because of restrictions. Today, we are hearing of weddings happening at large scales. You know, going abroad and doing a wedding is not a big deal anymore. So according to you, over the years, because you've seen the journey, you've documented it, how has the wedding scenario changed?
So a lot has changed and a lot has not changed.
Okay.
One is, I think post-COVID, a lot of people are looking at it as a happiness industry. Monisha, I know of some big advertising folks whom I approached pre-COVID about an IP we were launching, saying, I'd love for you to be on the jury. That gentleman said, I do not believe in weddings or the wedding industry because I feel it's a waste of money and there's a lot of pressure on one side to spend beyond their means.
Okay.
The same gentleman, post-COVID, complimented me for my work, saying, I had no idea how many people this industry employs.
Yes.
And we felt the pinch, right, during COVID when millions of folks were without jobs. So it's seen as a happiness industry, and in many, I'm talking of urban India, educated circles, what is heartening is both families are pitching in equally. I don't really know what is happening in very traditional families.
No, I agree. In metro cities, I think both families are pitching in equally. I think it's become more collaborative and more deciding that.
That's really nice.
Yeah, that's good,
And that's a really good change. Parents are still enthusiastically involved, while we may know about a lot of these brides and grooms who are on Instagram and we think, but it's not like in the West where the bride and the groom are taking individual decisions. So they are taking decisions now. Like this is what my planner friends tell me. Earlier, if it was 70-30, 70 parents and 30 brides and grooms, today it's the other way around.
Right.
And there was a phase where immediately after COVID, we thought the intimate wedding. But in business families, nothing has changed. In business families, the big fat wedding is becoming fatter.
Yes.
Because it is weddings of two families also. You know about the dynamics in business families.
Right.
But if you look at the corporate profiles, especially NRIs, they won't have a small wedding. But the good news for the wedding industry, Monisha, is that in 90% of families is the parents continue to pay for the wedding.
Okay.
Which means the budgets are better.
Yes.
Because imagine what would happen 20 or 30 years down the line. The bride or the groom will say, we'll invest in art, we'll invest in a home, we'll spend that money on a holiday, why spend on a wedding? So the youngsters are deciding and the parents are spending. So the wedding industry,
see, this is what I find unique about India, right? So this kind of a thing, the opulence, the scale that we show, people around the world want to watch it because in India, even if it's the bride and the groom and a love marriage, the families get involved. And typically the emotion is, usko kaise nahi bulaye, hum uski shaadi mein gaye the, yeah, how do we exclude this friend or that relative, and it becomes like a largish, invitation, and therefore the parents get involved. And it's uniquely Indian because we have also multiple functions happening.
True.
So right from your cocktail to your mehndi to your dance to your so many other smaller ones to the wedding to the reception. You're right when you say it's also given employment to so many people. And today specialized jobs have come.
True.
So be it like, gifting, be it
and again, different kinds of gifting. There's somebody who only does, first thing you'll say, do you do edible or non-edible?
Non-edible.
And then again, what is the budget? You have people who do like for stuff which is as less as 300 or 3,000 plus per. So everything is there.
Everything is there and specialized. So even I think within the wedding planners, they're specialized.
Specialized in destination, specialized in community.
Specialized in community, specialized in NRIs, non-NRIs. I mean,
the ones who are very good at documenting and who are okay with doing the late night meetings, NRI weddings are for them.
NRI weddings are for them. Right? So I'm saying, look at the kind of scale and the change that we have seen in the industry. Now tell me something, today Wedding Sutra is not just documenting it. What you have done is that you've actually brought people together. I have been to some of your events. It's a great party that you guys throw. It's where people are coming, they're meeting, they're celebrating, they're getting to know each other, and you're bridging the gap between multiple people, right? Where do you see Wedding Sutra going from here?
I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I just hope to work and mentor many more entrepreneurs. I enjoy traveling to different cities. Each city is different.
Instagram reveals it all.
Yeah,
you are always traveling and you're always celebrating, which is wonderful.
Yes, I just hope to touch many more lives and help them in their journey. If today I've helped 500 or 1,000 entrepreneurs, I hope it'll be 5,000 sooner or later. That is what is heartening, because I'm also at that phase in my life where I think I know the secret sauce for entrepreneurs. There's a lot which I could have done, which I didn't do. There's a lot I've done, but I don't know how I can just help.
So what is the secret sauce?
I think every entrepreneur should know his real strengths. The moment you know your real strengths, it will be success all the way. You sometimes think of doing something because on the outside it looks great, but maybe you're not made for that. Sometimes you're not aware of your own weaknesses or certain limitations you're working on. I'll be upfront and tell you, a lot of people in the wedding business, they have a lot of support from their families, because this is one of those businesses where you're working on the weekend. When it's holiday time with your family, you have to be working.
Right.
You need a supportive family sometimes, because let's say somebody is working in Delhi. The middle, you know how busy the wedding season is.
Correct.
And in the middle of the night, you need help, or you just need some family member to be there to assist you with doing something as simple as just managing payments to vendors. You cannot always depend on your team.
Yeah.
You may not have that support system because everybody is so stretched. You have to fall back on emotional support from your family, or even get time from your family. So these are some of the things I tell people. Okay, you are from outside. You can't become a wedding planner on day one. Work with a wedding planning company for 5 years, 10 years. Understand, do you want to be a general manager, which is a wedding planner?
Yeah.
Or do you want to specialize in something where you say, I am so good at table styling, not just weddings, but for doing events or doing working with certain fine dining spaces, and say, I'm going to do that, because everybody need not become a wedding planner. It's a myth that you have to. Wedding planning is just 2%. There is so much more in this industry. And the moment
floral decorations, gifting, the smallest of things look can be the most complicated ones at times.
Calligraphy, today everybody wants, and today the latest thing is content creation at weddings.
Yes.
So everybody wants somebody who can just do those reels which can be uploaded the same day and not wait for.
Edits can happen.
Absolutely.
The weddings happen. By the time the family gathers, they want the video up and running.
So I know many, just as how I know in Bangalore 15 years back, there were a lot of software engineers who wanted to get out of their IT campuses, and they did candid photography of their friend's wedding.
Right.
And before they knew it, every weekend they were just happy to travel around Bangalore, whether it's Coorg or Kerala, and document weddings. Today I know folks who have a job from Monday to Friday, and they say, what else can I do? And if they think they are very good at creating these reels for Instagram, they are very happy to travel to Udaipur. But that doesn't mean there's good money in the beginning. They just say, I'm going to pay for my own air ticket. As long as I make some money is fine, but at least I'm getting a free holiday in return.
Right.
So that's the way you have to see it. A lot of people think wedding planning is easy money. There are some people who've made a brand as a wedding planner, or artists, or top photographers, makeup artists. There's a lot of money. But for many others, it's not easy getting money from families, because today you have so many options online, and everybody negotiates. So the smartest entrepreneurs are those who know how to build their brand and manage relationships. How do you say no without offending somebody who could be a potential client?
Keeping that door open.
Absolutely.
Saying no and still keeping the door open. Tell me something, now that you've given this advice, you've told us the secret sauce for all the wedding planners. What is typically the budget for these destination weddings? I've always wondered. Some of the weddings are huge.
True.
So how much does typically a destination wedding cost in India?
I will just tell you, 25 to 25, which is 25 lakhs to 25 crores. You could get married in the off season in a non-5-star property, a small wedding near Bombay. And you'll also be surprised that when I traveled to Rajasthan, there was a friend of mine who used to work with a 5-star hotel. And he told me, I had joined this builder and I want to show you a destination wedding property. It's not like what you've seen. I was quite surprised to see, Manisha, that it's a nice resort. And I asked them what would be the cost, including food. It's not a branded resort. And they told me, if you take 50 rooms, if you go to Udaipur in the summer season, you'll probably get this for 25 lakh. When you think that you can't get anything less than, say, a 2.5 CR on an auspicious date So if you want to have a destination wedding in the non-peak season, an intimate one, you can manage on a budget of 25 lakhs. But for those who are part of the wedding circles, who are part of the big business families, they are aware that if you really want to have a big wedding and a reception for 1,000 people in your city, after the thing, your budget could be anywhere from 2.5 to 25 crore, depending on the scale and depending on the venue.
And then there are some weddings which could extend to much, much, much more depending on the...
But they are exceptions.
Yeah, those are big exceptions.
They make news, but I keep telling when I travel abroad, not every wedding is like that. Right. Only the big weddings make news, but there are a lot of people who also have the sweet and simple weddings.
Yeah. Now, within the wedding industry, there are multiple components, right? According to you, in all your experience, what is the most important ingredient in the wedding for the guests? Because according to me, khana important hai, khana acha hona chahiye. But according to you, what is it?
A happy bride and groom. Because
for the bride and groom it is.
Because the bride is having a good time, others will have a good time.
See, bride and groom, I don't think half the weddings, they are tired by the end of it.
They don't remember what they ate.
Exactly. But for the guests, what is most important?
Khana.
Khana, na?
And for the bride, decor. Because see, what's changed in decor is earlier the perception is your flowers. You can only see it for a few hours. Then what is the use of spending? But today your flowers are seen on the reel for many weeks.
For many years.
So that's great news for those in decor and production. That space is doing very well, because today you're getting such a lot of inspiration from Pinterest, Instagram, and therefore you want little or all of it for your functions.
But I think for the bride, her outfit also matters.
Of course, of course.
Her outfit, her jewelry, her makeup, her hair, I think that's very important for the bride.
A bride, one of the first things she'll think of is makeup artist and a photographer, and the parents would of course look at the venue and the caterer. And the brother of the bride will look at the DJ. So there are different things which are important, and the one responsibility which every group has is of course finding a nice location for the honeymoon.
So tell me now all this is a creative process, right?
That's right.
It's a creative experience, it's a creative exercise that one is executing, because marriage is a creative process.
Sure.
But in the end, you have to also make business sense out of it.
Absolutely.
So how does one do that? Like, I understand you told me that the entrepreneur should be able to say no, and but how do you make business sense out of it? Because for me, it's a very stressful job to be
True.
a wedding planner. You're dealing with emotions of multiple family members, not one individual. Like, unlike you go for a business meeting and there's a client sitting in front of you and he's making his demands, right?
True.
Here you're dealing with a family with emotions, and yet you need to make a business out of it. Where do you draw the line of creative and now I have to make a business out of it?
I think the most successful wedding planners, they are very smart business people too. They know how to, a family would say their budget is X, but they know how to work with the family and get X plus 25% or 2X.
Yeah, because the demands will keep increasing, right?
And there's a lot of patience required dealing with them. And you've already said that. Don't say no to anything. Figure out how, say no, but. And that's also the case even with hotels. Some of the most successful general managers when it comes to weddings are those who don't say no. And they weave things around in such a way that the family doesn't have to be later on told, but you have to pay an additional 1,000 for this or additional lakh for it. How do you factor in those costs? For a lot of them, it's a creative process, and they have a business partner who takes care of the monies, and there are many others who know how to
juggle both. Now, a lot of youngsters want to get into this wedding business. It sounds cool, it sounds easy.
And you can travel.
You can get to travel. It sounds very hip, right? So everybody might not want to become a wedding planner, but I know a lot of youngsters who want to be a part of the wedding industry, be it just covering it on social media, whatever. What is the 3 pieces of advice you want to give to these youngsters that want to get into this business?
You should be people oriented.
Okay.
You should love interacting with people, strangers, and of course people pleaser, because
People
it's really
pleaser,
pleasing.
yes.
The second is you should learn from others how to make money. Nothing is documented, unlike any other business where they talk about margins, because every wedding is different. In every city the expenses are different. Observe from others. How do they negotiate? Because when somebody is trying to negotiate with you, there are 2 ways. One is, how do I be prepared to negotiate effectively, and how do I not buckle under pressure? The third is, while you are looking at how to make money in the short run, for a lot of people, they may be able to say that, okay, fine, I'm not going to make money for 2 years or 3 years. Everybody has different priorities. I can't tell. For some people, okay, fine, things are taken care of. But how do you look at, how can you build your personal brand? Whatever you do, you are Mr. Dependable, because there's so much of outsourcing out there.
Yes.
Wedding planners have hospitality companies to whom they outsource to.
Cabs.
Exactly.
Local cars.
Now, when you talk of personal brand, I just tell some people, which place are you from? For example, I was talking to this young lady who is from Jodhpur.
Okay.
And I said, after you get your experience, do you know the kind of talent required in Jodhpur? If you're not able to do weddings in Jodhpur, day one you will not be able to do the Umaid Bhavan wedding. But which is the closest place close by? So in Pushkar, there could be a need for emerging planners. I said, look at understanding that market. Go and get the experience. So that is what I talk about. You have to tell people which place you are from. That's all part of the storytelling. Storytelling is very important. Storytelling and personality brand go hand in hand.
So on that note, Parthip, you've given my viewers 3 pieces of advice which I hope that they take very seriously, because every child or every youngster who wants to get into this business thinks it's all fun, games and glamour. But it's actually also a lot of hard work. It's burning the midnight oil, like you said, working on holidays, off season. It looks easy, but you're planning for the coming season.
Absolutely. And also this is for those also who want to have a hand in weddings.
Yeah.
There's so many people who during the wedding season want to service the wedding sector. So I hope these insights help them.
Help them. But thank you so much for choosing to be a part of Voices for Local. As usual, I've had a blast chatting with you.
Likewise, Manisha.